I'm Mike.
And I'm Steve.
And you're watching
COMX-TV!
Hi, I'm Comic Gun. Susie Owens. Voodoo. Jacquelina. You're watching COMX-TV.
Spider-Man, Superman, they're all coming right to you. Venom, Bud, Archie too, they will all be here for you on Comics TV. Comics TV. Fantasy and enemy, what's it gonna be now? Alternative and mainstream too, here every week for you on Comics TV. Comics TV.
Welcome to another great show. We have some great reviews today, including
How to pick up girls if you're a comic book geek. Woo-wee! And Adventures of Monkey.
we also have Bloodshot, Blade, and Master Dark preview.
In our interview segment, we have Dan Parent of Archie Comics.
There's also a new segment called Check Your Comic Cube. Just how smart are you? So, don't forget, we also have an exclusive special effects preview from Spawn the movie. This is exclusive. Nobody else has this stuff. So, stay tuned for that. And let's kick off today's show with Steve's very first comic book review.
Woo-wee! This week, for my first exciting book, I'm going with Bloodshot, #4 from Acclaim Comics. $2.50. The writer is Len Kaminsky, the artist is Sal Villatello, and the inker is Steve Geiger. Klaus Stroheim is the Nazi Frankenstein. He was taking human bodies and rebuilding them and experimenting with them. All those horror stories you read back years ago. Well, Bloodshot finally wants to meet the man that actually wrote the program to build Bloodshot, you might say, or create him. As he approaches him, Bloodshot gets very ticked off because this guy is giving him no answers, smashes up the lab, but somebody else is watching. I'm not going to say who. He's being watched to see how Bloodshot will react. The writing in this one was excellent. It explains everything. It explains why Bloodshot was created, how he was created, how the nanites were created, because that's what they were experimenting back in the war. The art in this was excellent. It was better than usual. Now, normally, I don't like the way the new Bloodshot looked, but the way they made him look in this one, really cool. Definitely different than the old Bloodshot. What's special about this book is whoever collects Bloodshot's got to pick this one up to actually learn the whole idea of what Bloodshot is about. Because in all the other books, they never explained how he became Bloodshot other than he was experimented on. That's all they ever explained on. This explains everything. Rating on this one is hot, hot, hot. Pick this one up. It's a great book.
Excellent. Topping the comics news, Fleer Skybox Overpower National Championship took place at the Wizard ChicagoCon over the July 4th weekend. We're here at the Overpower qualifiers. This is the last round before the finals, which takes place tomorrow, Sunday. This is approximately 90 people here right now playing the Overpower game. Now, Overpower, as you may know, as you may not know, is a collectible card game based originally on Marvel Comics characters. And since then, they've had a lot of expansion sets. They've added DC characters, and it's become a very popular game. And now, like one gentleman from Fleer Skybox just told us, that with 90 people here, he thinks this is a great turnout because this is the national finals. Tomorrow they will have the finals. I'm not quite sure how many. Obviously, they probably cut this in half, so 90, they probably bring it down to like 45 or whatever number it must be, 45 people. And that takes you down to the finals, and it's going to be an all-day affair. Today you'll go until it's done, and tomorrow's supposed to be like 1 to 5 or something like that. Something like that. Was it 1 to 5? I believe.
The 1996 Wizard Fan Awards also took place at the Wizard Chicago Comic-Con. Jimmy Palmiotti and Nelson were the hosts of this event.
The ceremony went pretty smooth, with the host providing plenty of yucks to keep the fanboy audience amused. The big winner, though, was Marvel, taking home favorite male hero, favorite heroine, villain, supporting character, writer, editor, and ongoing series for Uncanny X-Men.
Image won for favorite penciler, Jim Lee, and inker, which was Todd McFarlane. DC won the favorite miniseries, Kingdom Come.
Other than being a bit too dark in the hall, the awards seemed much more professional than the CBG awards that were in the same venue in 1996. The industry still needs to come up with one major awards and play it up to the mainstream media. Stay tuned for more Comics TV news later in today's show. How to pick up girls if you're a comic book geek. That's a problem a lot of us have. It's a professionally done handbook for anyone fitting that exact description. This 40-page book is full color, costs $3.95, and was written and drawn by Rick Kozlowski. The book presents a story about three guys who realize that comics aren't the only thing, and they want to get girlfriends. Well, good luck, guys. They spend a great length of time trying to determine what girls might like, what everything they think of has a comic book reference to it. Eventually, though, the narrator helps out the book's main character, Keith. The art is very clean and very professional. There are very few backgrounds, which helps to keep it clean looking. Kozlowski has read many Marvel comics based on the story, which is a fun read. There are two one-page stories that are almost better than the main story. Overall, I thought it was funny, and I give it a thumbs up. If you've been a Marvel zombie at some time in your life, you would probably appreciate this book. Otherwise, I don't think that you would find it very funny. Not at all. Still coming up, the Spawn movie special effects and some more reviews. But first, let's check your comic queue.
Quick note, last week I forgot to give you the answer.
It was on the screen. It was on the screen. What was the question first?
The question was, in George of the Jungle, what was the name of his pal, Ape?
And at the end of the show, we told you his name was Steve.
It was Ape. That's it, Ape.
Steve.
So I sort of gave it a little answer right there in the question. This week's Comic Q is, what is Homer Simpson's boss's whole name? Not first name, but the whole name.
Stay tuned until later in the show, and we'll give you that answer.
Today's interview is with 10-year comic veteran Dan Parent. Dan's the one who brought Cheryl Blossom back to Archie Comics. So let's visit with him and see what drawing Archie is like.
Okay. We're here with Dan Parent, and he's working on a little sketch here of Cheryl Blossom as Wonder Woman. Interesting little sketch. So how are you today?
Good, good. It's great.
So, you been at this convention before?
I've never been to Chicago.
Really?
I've done all the New York conventions and East Coast conventions, but no, never Chicago.
Right. Should be good. We were here last year and it was fun.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So, how long have you been working on this book?
I've been working at Archie Comics for 10 years now, on practically every book, Betty and Veronica Spectacular, Archie, and lately, my latest project is Cheryl Blossom.
And you do just pencils?
Pencils and scripts.
You do scripts
I've been
too?
writing it too,
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, that's kind of like, what the heck's his name? Ken Penders. He does the Sonic stuff.
Yeah. Oh, right.
He lives in our area.
Right.
Yeah, so you guys, is that how it works? You write the script and do the pencils?
Well, in most cases, someone else writes it. Usually there's a writer and then a separate artist. But in this case, I've been working on the Cheryl stuff since they brought her back a few years ago. And I'm freelance. I went freelance about a year ago, so I've got more time now. So I'm able to write and draw.
So were you there for that big 4-issue Archie goes after Cheryl
Yeah,
thing?
the Love Showdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was all yours,
That was
huh?
my idea. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Excellent. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It did very well. It really brought a lot of attention to the characters. So.
How long have you been in comics itself?
10 years.
10 years? So you've been with Archie all the time?
I graduated from Kubert School, which is Kubert School in New Jersey. I graduated there in '87.
Okay.
And then right after I got out of school, I went to I went to Archie right after that.
Really? It took him.
Yeah.
Now, is it tough? They have a standard, basically, right? I mean, you just can't go in and create your own character. You pretty much have to.
Right. They have their guidelines. They like you to keep the characters looking a certain way. I mean, pretty much their guideline is Dan DeCarlo. They like he's like the top artist. They like people to kind of follow in that formula. But they encourage you to create other characters too. They're always looking for like good secondary characters, kind of like Cheryl Blossom, other characters they can spin off on their own.
Now Cheryl was around quite a while ago, wasn't she?
She was around in the early '80s.
And then was it your idea to bring her back, or?
Yeah. I always was a big fan of hers.
No,
she was kind of like, it was kind of racy. Like she was very like sexy, and I think they thought it was a little too much at the time. So they just kind of like dropped her for a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's funny. I mean, Archie's all that all wholesome comic book, but yet she kind of breaks that mold.
Right. I mean, there's limits, of course. Obviously, we can't do too much, but
you won't have her and Archie together.
No.
At least you won't see it between in the panels.
No, you won't see anything. No.
Do you like working on this type book? Like
yeah. Yeah.
Is it tough to follow that Archie kind of standard, or is it just?
It's not tough for me because really my art style followed in that mold.
Oh, really?
So I was always kind of in between humor, illustration, and like superhero stuff. So it kind of was perfect for me.
So how do you get your scripts? I mean, where do you come up with your ideas for these things?
I watch a lot of TV. I'm just into entertainment a lot, and I have lots of ideas. So it's not hard for me to come up with ideas for stories.
Right. That's great.
Okay, for my next review today, I'm going with Blade. Number 1 and 2 of 3 from Dark Horse Comics. $3.95, and this is a manga book. Manga. Writer is Hiroki Samura, and he's the writer and the artist, and the translation was done by Dan Lewis and Thorin Smith. So obviously this book must have been written in Japanese, and then when it came to the U.S. it was written in American. So these guys had their work cut out for them. English, American, whatever. We speak American, so it's English. American. Call of the Worm. What? Speaking English. Call of the Worm. Manji and Rin are on a quest, again, to destroy the main ganja. They're trying to kill this guy. Well, they come across this priest who ends up getting in a fight with Manji and stabs him. But what they didn't know, it had Kesan Satu poison on the knife, which kills the worms which heal him. What it does is it dissolves all the old wounds, so they all reopen, and basically you fall apart, plain and simple, because Manji is immortal. The writing in this one was excellent. It shows real characters, how they react to different situations. When he's stabbed, how he reacted to it, why he stabbed back, how Rin is reacting to him being stabbed and being poisoned, how she feels about him. It deals with real character lives. The artwork in this one was excellent for a splash book. This was all done in black and white, and it was all done like pencil drawn, pencil sketched, but you could tell everything. You can see every picture. It jumped right off the page at you. What's special about this book is the Blade series was done off of real samurai truth tales from years and years ago, which is a really big thing up in Japan on samurais and ninjas and all that stuff. Rating on this one, I give this one a hot. It's a really special book. I thought it was really cool. If you want to check out something different for a change, pick this book up. I really think you'll enjoy it. Check it out.
Where was Stimpy?
With Ren. Not Rin. Ren.
Oh. Steve says the name of Japanese poison better than Jimmy Palmiotti. Although he said Jimmy Palmiotti wrote today.
Palmiotti, not Pomerati.
Next! What do I have next, Steve?
What do you got next? You got a review, Mike. You got woo-woo! No, it's woo-wee!
Alrighty.
Wee-woo!
Number 5. It's a 32-page mature reader book of short stories by Oscar Stern and published by Animus. It's under the Animus imprint. Cost $2.50. There are 2 stories, and there's some other miscellaneous stuff in this book. After starting the first book, or the first story, I was about to give up on the book. It was boring, but I guess it was chapter 5 of a bigger story, so I guess if you read it all, you might like it. But the second story was excellent. It was excellent. It's about a couple going on a weekend getaway. She's all happy. She's excited. She's ecstatic. They're going away, ecstatic. And he's indifferent. He's kind of far away, distant. By the last page of the story, though, you find out why. And it's a good one. Stern's art is rather good. A little sketchy, but clean. It's not perfect, but that story was definitely good. For me, the book is worth that story alone. There's some sketches near the back of the book which always seem to be a waste of pages for me. Overall, though, he's a decent storyteller at this point, and I'd like for and at this point, you should probably check out the back issues. Maybe get the first 4 parts of that initial story. Check out Woo-Wee yourself. But on to other things. Don't forget, you can contact COMX-TV here at P.O. Box 220, Buffalo, New York, 14225. And our email address is COMXTV without the dash at localnet.com.
When they went on that tour, when they were going away and she was ecstatic, was she screaming, woo-wee, woo-wee?
You know, I think she was, but it was in between panels, so I didn't actually see it.
Ah, them darn panel lines.
That's right. Still coming up, the COMX-TV exclusive look behind the scenes at the Spawn the Movie special effects.
Cool.
And here's another comic book review from Steve himself.
Thanks.
Well, you're welcome.
I hope on myself. Sometimes I wonder.
So do I.
This week, for my third and greatest, spontaneous, perfect review, and I lied, Master Dark Preview. This is from Acclaim. It's number 1 of 3, coming out in October. Writer is Christina Z. The artist is Leonardo Manco, and the inker is Atomic Paintbrush. Not Atomic Paintbrush, it's just Atomic Paintbrush. So this one deals with, I'm going to read you a quick clip out of this book. You can yell at me, but it was fabulous the way they wrote this up. I couldn't explain. 3 years ago, he was branded one of the most evil and formidable villains in all of comics by Wizard magazine. He was more than enough of a bad guy to become the arch-villain of 2 Valiant Universe titles, Shadow Man and The Second Life of Dr. Mirage. He endeavored to become God on Earth, and during the Chaos Effect storyline, he damn near became God on Earth. But what we have here is a new Master Dark. He is completely distinct and different, operating a new world in a new universe. The rules are a bit different, but more contemporary, more complex, and you know nothing of what has gone on before. He is the ruler of Dead World. Now, Shadow Man's been fighting in Dead World since issue number 1. He's definitely different. This book was excellent, one of Acclaim's most complex stories ever. The artwork was very excellent, gothic looking, very dark, and page more than once figuring out what am I missing here. This is definitely a new 90s look for Acclaim. I really, really like this title, and I give this one a hot, hot, hot. In October, pick this one up. It's going to go hot off the shelves.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
It's something that sounds very good, and I suggest you look for it.
Yes.
At least he suggested.
I do. I suggest it, and it's my 9 out of 10 are good.
Adventures of a Monkey is a book by John Munt Esquire. John Munt Esquire. This is issue 3, published by Womp, and it is a mere $2. 2 buckaroonies, 2 little skinny things. I passed by this guy quite a few times when we were in Chicago. Finally, I decided to stop. I remember seeing him last year at the show, so I broke down and I bought a copy of Adventures of Monkey. He wanted to sign it, but I already took it and threw it in my bag. I said it's not that important. Monkey is president of the United Earth. He's also a superhero ape, which I guess can't be much different than some of the current presidents we have. Let's see here. The story is Monkey covering the apparent death of one of his arch enemies, Snake Man.
That's original.
Well, all is not quite as it seems. The art is quite good, with a lot of detail, but it's not overpowering. I was a bit disappointed with the story, though, since it's really just another twist on the superhero genre, and it's not that great of a twist. But at $2, it's definitely priced competitively. It's also a good, wholesome read for young people, for youngers of all ages, those kids of all ages, people of all ages. If you're looking for something different for your kids to read, this would definitely be a good book to pick up. If you're sick of superheroes, this book is not going to change your mind about them because it really doesn't break any new ground. Overall, though, personally, I give this one a thumbs down, but it's a good, wholesome read, and it might be good for somebody else. Next, we have what we hope you have been waiting for. That's right. That's right. It's Spawn the movie, the special effects, behind-the-scenes look at some of the digital things that they've done by Industrial Light and Design, which did Jurassic Park and some other big-time movies like The Mask. Let's see what they've done with Spawn, Violator, not Violator.
Yeah, Violator's in there.
Clown, and of course, Malabugia.
Malabugia.
This looks like some good stuff. So
You
check it
been
out.
violate the girl,
Check
man.
it out and check out the Comics TV.
This is our digital development tape. This was made by a few people and myself at Industrial Light and Magic, and it really gives you a good idea of what goes into the making of a special effects movie of this caliber. So let's run the second tape. Oh, by the way, the music on here is from the Spawn soundtrack. This is Orbital from the Spawn soundtrack. With Kurt Hammett of Metallica on guitar. So to appreciate some of what you just saw there, you really got to go see the picture on film, as I imagine many of you will. The next tape I'm going to narrate is just a silent tape. It's just something I sort of quickly dug together in our office at 10 o'clock Friday night before I came. But it says there's no audio, but I'll narrate it if I can steal one of these mics. So go ahead and run the next tape. I'll jump down here and tell you what you're going to see. Now, again, a lot of this you're seeing is video resolution, and it's not film final, but that's Malvolio, and that's Malvolio with Spawn in Hell. That's the beginning of the film when Spawn is first sort of indoctrinated to what his duty is. This is some of Hell's army on, Hell is always descending in space, and this is another reveal of Digital Devil Malvolio, not quite finished yet. His hair will be more on fire. You can see his size relationship in terms of the scale in relationship to Spawn. There'll be thousands and thousands of Hell's armies, so at the end of the movie, Spawn will do battle with, and they'll sort of charge at him at the end, and he'll exit quite quickly and go back to Earth. That's Clown, played by John Leguizamo, probably the most amazing performance by a Latino character in any major American picture in the last decade.
And that was some great Spawn stuff here. Now, back to Check Your Comic Q. Today's question was,
who is Homer Simpson's boss's name? What is his full name? And the answer is Charles Montgomery Burns.
That's right.
Yes.
Did you know that?
C.M. Burns. Did you know that? Our cameraman knew that because he's a Simpsons fanatic.
Because Steve only had part of it.
And I only had part of the answer, and James corrected me. Thank you, James. You win the booby prize.
Jim is a fanatic.
He is a fanatic.
Thanks for tuning in this week to COMX-TV. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you write us and let us know what you thought of the show. Thanks for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you write us and let us know what you think. Coming next week, you can't miss this, we've got a preview of Rob Liefeld's new Fighting American comic and an interview with mini comics creator Pam Bliss. I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Steve Przybyla. And like we say, reading is a great investment. So stay tuned next week. When you visit that local comic book shop, tell them you've seen us on COMX-TV, the world's best comic book show. Right.